help people know like what IP28 is, what it actually encompasses. And I think that's part of hopefully the podcast will give some people some awareness. But I mean, just because we don't live in Oregon doesn't mean we can't help, And I think people All right, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Today we're joined by Zach Bruce again. This is a repeat appearance for you. You've been on here before. We're here at the
repeat appearance, but we're probably going to go live with this one before we go live with this other one.
So sorry, non-repeat yet. He will be. We're at the Western Hunt Expo in Salt Lake City, Utah, and Zach was nice enough to drive down from Oregon. Not for us, but it was nice to drive down and at least get you on the podcast again.
Thank you.
So, but we wanted to talk to you guys, to Zach specifically today, because you're from Oregon, and there's a huge initiative going on right now, IP28, right?
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know about it, I mean, the gist, and correct me if I'm wrong, Zach, is basically they're trying to make any killing or abuse of any animal illegal, which would include ranching, hunting, fishing, anything that I guess would technically include killing something, right?
Livestock, veterinarian services. There's a lot of industries that would be impacted natively, not just on the hunting conservation side.
Yeah.
I mean, huge industries. Restaurants would have to source their menu, a lot of their menu items from out of state because they wouldn't be able to source any Oregon beef, chicken, pork, whatever. And then just the way that veterinarians would be able to do their jobs would have to change, tremendously.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's just so extreme. It's like the breeding of animals would be considered some sort of they already have it in the existing ORSs that you can't sexually abuse an animal, but the breeding of it would then become part of that. It would encompass that. Yeah.
Which
that's nuts. That now that encompasses the breeding, which you said a lot of this stuff is already in laws. There's laws to protect animal cruelty.
Yes.
We're just going a whole step further and really just trying to, I don't know what their ultimate end goal is, but it feels like it's to just stop all hunting and ranching activities.
Yeah. That's the gist of it. It's like every animal now, wild or domestic, has to pass away naturally. I mean, any portion of killing it. Yes, there's still some euthanization that can happen,
right?
But the harvesting of animals for sustenance and such, or if you're a rancher and your family lives off of one or two of your own beef, or you guys have a pig that you raise for your breakfast meats or what have you. Yeah. You can't go and harvest that animal.
Yeah.
For your own sustenance. And it's a domesticated animal, and you can't kill it the way you want to kill it. Yeah, maybe after they euthanize you, but I have to have special veterinarians to come out there and put it down for you before you can even do that.
Like there's got to be an unrealistic process just to be able to do that. If this passes, right? If you were to get kill your own, you'd have to go through what it seems like something so you're not going to be criminally charged.
Yes.
With that, right?
Yeah, misdemeanors and that sort of thing. But there's been some other bills that they've tried to push through with signatures and stuff, like IP3, IP13, and this is just another extension of that.
Yeah.
Luckily, those other ones got shot down pretty early on. They're trying to collect 117,000 signatures for this one, and if they do that, then it moves into where they can do some votes for it, right? And so this is it's very much at its infancy stage, but I think that's where we want to really take some action against
100%,
it. Is inform people, don't let them spin words on it that this is all just taking care of pets and making sure that they're not cruelly treated. And don't let them just nitpick put your signature down here because those dog shelters or whatever, we're just trying to protect those dogs in there, so they're trying to pull on the heartstrings of people, but they're not telling them about
everything else.
Your restaurant, or you're gonna source your meat from some other state, you're gonna have to turn vegetarian.
Yeah.
You're gonna turn vegan. They're not gonna tell you that.
And I just heard on another podcast that Oregon is a major consumer of hamburgers. Apparently, I don't know if it was Portland specifically or Oregon just eats a lot of beef.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all got to come from somewhere else now.
Which would drive your prices higher too, as a side effect, right?
Oh,
If you can't have your own beef in the state, like you have to import everything, prices are just going to skyrocket. Which, to your point, those people are probably telling everybody, "Oh, it's about your dog and it's about your cat." All the underlying stuff. As I was looking at their, we'll pause for a second because the announcements of the show are awesome.
Yeah.
I'd like to tell everybody that the Motor City man himself, Ted Nugent.
That's all right. We can edit this part out.
Move 534, signing
That's
off.
easy.
Oh, he's close.
Yeah.
So head on over.
Signing autographs.
534.
Yeah.
The Motor City man himself, Ted Nugent.
All right. Yeah. So, like, kind of what I was saying is, if you look at the bill in its entirety, because I went online and I looked at it, there's a lot of hidden language that they're specifically, and to their point, they're doing a really good job of not calling it out because they want signatures. And if they get to the 117,000, like you said, I think in July it goes to where they can actually vote on it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, for everybody who doesn't know, listening, Zach's an outfitter, not only an outfitter, but you do a lot of other conservation and work outside of that. How does that affect you? And like, have you reached out to other outfitters? Have you guys discussed that? Like, how is that affecting so early? Like, what are the effects that you guys are seeing already?
Right now it's just about education.
Yeah.
You know, because it isn't a bill yet, because it hasn't been passed into law or anything like that, we're not seeing anything, any negative impacts yet, but we're trying to prevent that. I come from a ranching background, a farming background. I mean, this bill encompasses rodent control. Like you wouldn't be able to take care of your moles and your pests in your fields and your crops. If a restaurant gets a rat infestation into their facility, like it would be criminal. They'd be criminals in order to remove those pests from the attic in their restaurant. And then is that getting into your food? I mean, it's just going to go into sanitary issues, and it's just, like everything that these guys covered. I don't even know how they thought of most of the things to include in this. I was like, wow, these guys are, I mean,
They encompass
almost,
everything.
almost too smart for their own good because they've thought of everything to include in it, and I think it's just a bad route to go.
100%.
I mean, I definitely think animals should be treated, fairly and hospitably, and we should have respect for them and everything. Even in the hunting side, the quicker that we can pass away, the older ones that we can take out so they don't suffer. Like all of those things are great things.
Yeah.
But at the same time, just for everything to just die of a natural cause, and there's a lot of suffering that goes along with that. If any of us have ever had family members or know people who have passed from cancer, like just how long that process is before they pass. I mean, that's an animal, that's a wild animal, right? They decline over a couple of years. It would be a lot nicer while their carcass is still of good quality to harvest that animal and then us to be able to consume it.
Yeah.
And not have them go through those 2 years of suffering, because everything's going to die.
Yeah, 100%.
Everything's going to die one way or another, and it can be a lot more cruel than what people deem hunting as. For the way that the animal passes.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. The one thing I like is he's talking about how the mice, you can't kill mice to get in your restaurant. Think about all the ag. I don't know how it would affect people that are just doing straight up ag, but like you can't then go get your crops down. You can't go plant new ones because you're killing animals as you're doing all the agricultural farming. So like it doesn't only affect just animals that are dying and like the cattle industry, but it's affecting all those industries. I don't think they thought about that.
What if you hit a deer with your car?
Yeah, would that be criminal?
Are you a criminal?
Don't report it. What's really interesting right now, because Oregon just a couple of years ago passed passed pick up the carcasses off the side of the road. They legalized that. It wasn't legal for a number of years.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah, so you can, if you hit a deer or see somebody else hit a deer, or you find a carcass that's still salvageable, it's that you just get online, $0 salvage permit, and then you can take and process that animal.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so it's very interesting how some parts of Oregon are going one way to kind of salvage these things, and then the other parts, like, you better not hit any of them, or else you're going to get a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
But even things like, you got to think about like golf courses. Like a lot of people with recreation that want to keep their golf courses pristine, and you get moles in the
That's
the putting
true.
green.
Yeah, I didn't think about the golf.
I mean, there's just a lot of industries that you just don't even think of where pests are, that need to be controlled.
Yeah, 100%.
And managed, and they're not. I mean, if this goes anywhere, those things aren't going to be able to be managed. I mean,
I would assume there's probably a warehouse or two of really nice athletic shoes somewhere in Portland that needs to manage mice problem and or whatever else,
Looks
right?
like a swoosh. Yeah, that facility might need to.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like we're talking about, I mean, when it comes to us, we're like immediately, hunting and rodents, but there are dozens, hundreds of industries that really will feel the effect of not being able to manage small rodent problems or nuisance problems, not just on top of the big game or cows or whatever.
Yeah, there's a lot of mom and pop, farms and ranches around that only have a handful of animals, a handful of like butcher steers and stuff. That really rely on being able to sell that carcass as a quarter beef, half beef to a few customers just to sustain their livelihood. That wouldn't be able to. I know multiple ranchers that have went that route, and they contract for maybe 15 animals a year that they just take into a processor, and then they sell them in as grass fed and natural type of beef. And people buy them by the carcass, and they're much more humanely raised. They're not going through a feedlot. They're not going through a slaughterhouse. They're treated really, really good up until the day that they get to the butcher shop, and and then they're people are proud of that. People want to consume that kind of stuff, and they talk to their friend, hey, I just got this half a beef, come over for a barbecue, I got it from this rancher, and they just kind of like that the source that they get it from, and know that it was treated right. And I mean, even people that aren't into the hunting side of things or the raising of the animals, or you wouldn't be able to do anything like that to hurt a fly, basically, but they purchase these animals that are more humanely raised.
Yeah, 100%. No, I totally agree with that. And I don't think that people that are drafting this, maybe they did, but maybe didn't think about all the downstream side effects, because the amount of loss of jobs across all those industries would hurt Oregon tremendously. I can't even imagine what that would do to the economy.
Well, the fishing's huge. We have a coastline.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's absolutely true.
We have a coastline. I mean, going out there into those waters, and like all the saltwater fish that get pulled in for consumption out there, like that's all impacted tremendously. There's only so much coast in the United States. Only so many states that touch the coast have to supply a lot of the fish throughout the interior of the U.S. And I just it's great that they have the feelings that they do, that they don't want anything harmed. But in the same way, it was just all based upon that emotion.
Yeah,
of just, we just can't harm anything, and that's just really not feasible. It's just not feasible from a biological base. It's not from an evolutionary base, from the first humans to now. I mean, it's been a part of our survival and our sustenance, and so it's very much ingrained in us somewhere along the way. Somewhere, I mean, it gets passed in Oregon. Well, that just means twice as many or 10 times as many animals are getting harmed in Idaho. Or I mean, they're not fixing.
That's a good point.
They're not fixing any sort of a solution. They're just making it really hard for their own state.
Yeah, I think that's a good point though that hasn't been brought up, that you just said though, is you're removing harming animals in Oregon, but whatever X times that is in other states, you have to come up with that food source somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's going to affect you're going to kill more animals in another state. What I also thought was interesting on their ballot is they also said that they want to start with Oregon, and their goal is to get this passed in all 50 states. And a lot of people, I think, are thinking there's no way it can pass. Because I've had that same feeling sometimes in Utah with Senator Mike Lee trying to sell off. I'm like, oh, it won't pass. But sometimes it gets close. And I think it only takes one time for them to, because they'll keep coming back. And once they pass one thing, I think it's just a matter of time. You give them an inch, they're going to take a mile type of deal, right? Well, and I just think it's just hard for people to realize that, it could actually. Yeah. I mean, I really hope it's not even close, but it could, if it gets the ballots in July, theoretically anything could pass.
Yeah, and looking at it now, it looks like it probably will make it on the ballot. And then you've got a voting issue, and you got to, again, it's back to education. Mm-hmm. But it sounds so crazy to me, the wide net they're throwing, that it almost makes me wonder, that they're throwing a wide net on purpose, knowing that they're probably going to lose. They'll hone in on what
There you go.
made them lose. They'll narrow it and come back again next year with the rodents, okay, we'll leave them out, but a lot of people didn't care about the cows, so we're going after the cows and the hunting again. Or whatever. We're just going to keep throwing darts. We're going to throw a bunch, and then we're going to narrow it down and throw some more. It's not going away.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
100% agree. I was gonna say the exact same thing. I think they're just taking a wad of mud, throwing it on the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yep,
100%.
100%.
and then they can figure out, like, cut away, because it is super broad and it's very invasive, very encroaching on a lot of industries. And so I think it's just like, oh, let's throw this out here, and what are people raising the most opposition against, and what are they kind of just like, that's no big deal. So after the no big deal ones, we'll just kind of pass those ones or hone in on those, and then we'll move to the next step and the next step and the next step, and just keep fighting it that way. And we just know how that West Coast works. If something like this gains any traction in Oregon, it's just going to trickle California and Washington. Always just seem to
follow each other,
just follow along.
Yeah.
They're very much of the same mentality. So
Yeah.
but I mean, the last time it kind of was going through to get some signatures to go into the House, to get voted on, it didn't go very far, and it just seems like they didn't really narrow down anything in this one to make it so they could perhaps deceive more people. They kind of just threw out the same thing in a way. So. But it's just like with any gun reform or anything else, like all these groups, these pro 2A and everything. I think they just really like to jump on and be super proactive about any little tiny changes, because the little changes can compound, and the next thing you know, you're just like, oh man, this 10 years ago it was nothing like this, but over these last 10 years, like little changes, and now it's holy smokes, we've lost a lot of ground. So I think it's like, even though some gun laws may make sense, I just think they want to fight everything that there is to do with gun laws, because they don't want any traction to be gained anywhere.
Death by 1,000
totally
cuts.
Agree.
We just gotta stop letting them cut, no matter how small.
And unfortunately, I think sometimes, as obviously coming from the hunting side, I feel like sometimes the hunting community is so against each other and so divided. Because like if you look at what happened in Colorado. I mean, with all the things that they've been going through, and they've had to fight it tooth and nail. I almost said tooth and tail. But I mean, that's what I feel like I struggle with, is like seeing you guys going through that. It's like if the hunting community, obviously all the other communities, ranchers, and everybody else, and hopefully the general population that has some common sense of like where you're going to get your food from, but who knows. But I feel like the hunting community sometimes can be so divisive, or they can come together really strongly. So it's like, you just kind of hope and pray like they at least recognize that, because I do feel like we get attacked a lot as hunters. But I don't know. I don't know if it's just hard,
There is, I mean, and it's everything from out of state hunters. You just see that a lot. Just like, we don't want any out of state hunters, in Idaho or wherever. Where do they get any special treatment, or why do so many tags go to out of state hunters? And I mean, that's just the wrong way to look at it. I mean, I know out-of-state hunters that have went to and just literally got harassed or tire slashed or whatever from other hunters in the mountains. And it's like, we can't be doing that. If we want some reform, if we want there to be more tags, if we want there to be less non-resident tags allowed or whatever, go in there and and fight that on paper, right?
Yeah,
like,
100%.
Like, don't degrade another hunter. He's just trying to do. What if I lived in North Carolina and I wanted to come out and hunt out west, and I didn't feel welcome like anywhere, and it's like my lifelong dream to go and hunt a bull elk because I don't have any elk over there. I'll have mule deer. There's certain things that you can only get. I don't have antelope. Like there's certain things that you have to come out west to hunt, and when they come in and they're just really mistreated by a lot of resident hunters. It's just kind of the wrong way. It's just the wrong way to go about fighting it if you're against it or opposing it. You just don't take it out on that individual. He did everything right. He paid for his non-resident fees. He has the paperwork. He's got everything that you have. He maybe doesn't have the local knowledge, or maybe you think that he doesn't do things right because, well, shoot, he's probably never hunted there before. Like,
you gotta learn.
You gotta learn it. And so maybe he's, making what you seem to be a fool of himself. But hey, how are you gonna learn when all you've done is hunt whitetails? You gotta. It's all like all of us as teenagers or whatever. We're out there just fumbling around, making a bunch of mistakes. And,
oh man,
and we kind of just figure it out. And
Yeah.
we're residents, like we should know, right?
Yeah, no, I mean it's a good point. Like, I'll be honest. I remember when we were younger, we used to go duck hunt at this one area all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I had no clue what I was doing for ducks. My dad's not a duck hunter, so we just went out there and shot probably hundreds of shells and never even killed a duck. And I bet all the guys that knew what they were doing are probably like,
Those ducks are way too high.
Yeah,
what are those kids doing?
What are they doing? But I mean, no one ever said anything. And I actually had a guy one time who kind of told me, hey, like, this is kind of what you're doing wrong. This is what you're doing right. And I'll never forget that, because that was like a boost of confidence of like, oh yeah, I can do this. Like, people are telling me what to do. And our experience in Oregon too, by the way, is we had locals that told us a wealth of knowledge, and that's what got us an elk every day.
They were very nice, yeah.
And we were out of state. We were very obvious about but everybody treated us really nicely, actually. But to your point, if you treat them wrong, they're not going to help you in your fights, and which I think we need. Even though we're not in Oregon, we can still do a part to help people know like what IP28 is, what it actually encompasses. And I think that's part of, hopefully the podcast will give some people some awareness. But I mean, just because we don't live in Oregon doesn't mean we can't help, And I think people blow over that sometimes.
It's amazing how many chapters there are of like Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, of the Wild Sheep Foundation. Like, there's a southeastern chapter of Wild Sheep Foundation, right? I don't need to see any sheep in Florida, like any bighorns. And there's this huge group that fundraises, that helps put sheep on the mountains, and people that have helped expand the footprint of the elk throughout the throughout the eastern states and stuff. And I mean, that started. There was no elk in their states when it first got started and everything. And just because of their efforts and their volunteers and everything, they've been able to help that out. But Montana's where Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation is, and so here they are supporting this company, this entity over there, and they're not hunting. Maybe they're not hunting elk every year, but they're still making an impact. And it's like, well, how many residents are there that contribute or donate to Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation that live in Montana? Is it 100%? But yet you don't want any non-residents there, but you don't mind if they pitch in so that Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation can buy landlocked, private property to allow
100%.
more public access. You'll definitely take advantage of that, even though this guy over here may be contributing. It might be a huge, wealthy corporate owner of something, and he's dumping in hundreds of thousands a year into that fund. And he's opening up all that ground for you to hunt, and he may only get a tag once every 10 years to come over there and take advantage of it.
Yeah. And
that's a huge thing too, is the conservation side of this bill, because there's a lot of Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, all these other conservation groups. How many? I can't remember the number of how many millions of dollars. Maybe you might know every year of people in Oregon that are buying tags, fishing licenses, hunting licenses. That's got to be millions of dollars that the Oregon Fish and Wildlife is getting, and that would be gone if this was the case, right?
Yeah.
Because you won't be able to hunt.
Well, and someone can fact check me. I'm pretty sure the number I heard was over $150 million that goes from tag sales, resident and non-resident. And this bill ultimately says we're gonna just abolish the Oregon, what do you call them, fish and game, and because there's no more hunting, so you won't need to manage these animals. I don't know where they think these animals are just gonna live in harmony, because that's not the reality anymore. There's too many people. There's too many conflicts with predators or whatever else. Like, it's not like you can just take hunting away and all these animals will just flourish. Like,
And manage themselves,
there's a reason the Western conservation model works.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, one of the big arguments, there's the wolf debate.
Yeah.
And one of the huge arguments for the pro-wolf advocates is that when wolves were moved into the Yellowstone ecosystem, the fish in the streams and the flora in the streams was greatly improved. The fish numbers went up. There was more willows. The beavers were back in there. Like, so their thing is like, oh yeah, you bring these wolves in to take care of an overpopulated ungulate number, and these other species benefit from that. But then at the same time, probably the same individuals who are of that mindset come over to Oregon and then just say, well, we don't want anything managed. We don't want anything taken care of. So what? So then all the ungulates, their population goes up. Yeah, wolves population will go up too. But still, like all those streams and everything that they are, saying were beneficial from some management perspective in the Yellowstone ecosystem, they're going to just completely throw that off of the table and say, let's just have all these animals be overpopulated, and that's going to be good for everything.
Yeah. It's a weird mindset. Like, I'll be honest, when we think about it, like, it just sounds insane that they would do that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know how you would think about this bill to draft it up.
I don't know.
But
and I'm pretty sure there's a state that already tried this in an area, and they ended up with a bunch of overpopulated deer who then starved to death.
Yeah.
Like, they have to be managed.
Right.
And
then not gone to waste.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
what
true.
Are going to happen
it's a lot of
they're wanting everything to be, humanely treated, and then all of a sudden these animals are overpopulated, and then all of their carcasses are going to waste. Well, then those carcasses are getting even, more mistreated than the animal on the hoof. They're just thrown into these big piles, and then whatever got to be burned, or somehow the stench has got to go away, or somehow they got to be, picked up and cleaned up. Where are they going to go at that point?
100%. Yeah,
that's true.
I think it's kind of the same thing that's happening on Catalina Island right now too. I don't know if you guys have heard that with they're just going to hire sharpshooters and kill all the deer, and like not let anybody come in and hunt them, and not keep that meat and harvest those carcasses. Like, that's a huge deal to some people to have that meat. Now they're just going to go in and kill them. And now you're going to have managed populations of ungulates and predators in Oregon if this went through. I think there's just a lot of repercussions that these people don't think about. And to your point, it's emotional decisions, right? Mm-hmm. Emotional decisions, I think, unfortunately, are driven too often. And they don't look at the biology or the science behind some of those decisions, which, unfortunately drives that. But
starvation is gonna happen, and whether that starvation is in the ungulate population or in the predator population, at some point, just because of the swings of things and how the predators versus the grass eaters swings, grass eaters are gonna be too populated that they're gonna end up eating them, not having enough forage, and so they're gonna start to die of starvation. Well, then when all those start to die of starvation, the predator population has increased because the ungulate population has increased, and they had plenty to eat. And then these guys don't have enough to eat, not enough grass to eat. They start dying. Well, then what are the predators?
Exactly.
Eventually, there's going to be a bunch of predators that are starting to starve each other or become cannibalistic, and they're just going to be eating each other. I mean, that's one of the things that's happening with high concentration of wolves. They're literally going into black bear dens and picking out the black bears that are hibernating and eating them and eating their cubs while they're in there having cubs and hibernating. And then the same thing with like the mountain lions. They're finding these they're literally tracking mountain lions because they know eventually a mountain lion is going to make a harvest. Just mountain lions are like 70+% successful in their harvest. And so eventually they're going to find these. And some of those mountain lions are moms that have very small kittens. They bring them into that carcass. Well, those kittens don't really know, like, I need to climb a tree really fast when this pack of wolves comes in here. So then the wolves kill the kittens. Right off of the carcass, and then eat the carcass. So they're very much impacting the other predator numbers that people are working hard to bolster as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never thought about that too, right? You have increase because you guys have a lot. Do you have a lot of wolves on Eastern Oregon, kind of where you hunt a lot? Do you have a lot of wolves?
It's expanding all the time. They're making a pretty good footprint now. A lot of established packs.
That's hard, man. But I mean, I didn't think about that too. Your other predator populations are probably going to be greatly affected too once they start to be like, there's no food. We got to start killing other predators and wolves. Ultimately,
it's opportunistic. Just opportunistic stuff. That's why they don't always kill just all the weak and sick. If there's a bunch of elk trapped out on ice, they're all gonna be dead. They don't care which one's healthy and which one can run or which one can jump still. I mean, they're just, oh man, this is a buffet. We're just going to take care of them. So if a bear's hibernating, heart rate's all slowed down. They're basically sleeping and nearly in coma. They're going to come in there. Well, how's that mom supposed to protect her cubs that are getting killed by these wolves? They can't wake up like that.
Just out of curiosity, have you ever seen that with the bear and the wolves? Like, have you ever?
No, not personally.
Okay.
I just know of houndsmen and just know people that are in the hills that have seen like these dens that have been ripped out and. Wow.
I don't know why that blows my mind that wolves would go in there. I mean, I don't know. I should have thought about it, I guess.
I mean, it makes sense. But that's crazy.
This is opportunistic.
But that's
Yeah.
it, right? And
And
that's
then they figure it out once they do it. Yeah, maybe the first time they do it, they're probably pretty tentative. Like they're probably pretty nervous about it. Like if because they smell,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
this
yeah.
other predator, they don't realize like is it awake, is it asleep, is how much is it going to fight me? But I'm hungry, so I'm going to go check that out. And then they go check it out, and it was easy pickings.
So now then that
now-
behavior continues. Yeah.
Now they know, oh, okay, when it's cold outside and these things are just in there snoring, like
Yeah.
it's easy to go in and pick them off. Like wolves are very smart,
Yeah.
Yeah,
very
absolutely.
smart.
Yeah,
And then
absolutely.
they're training the next generations down because they're going to have their pups with them or juveniles with them, and they're going to learn that to sustain themselves for the next winter. Go
Yeah,
in there and pick out those
100%.
animals.
And then wolves eventually will start picking up people's pets.
yeah.
It's happened a few times. You know?
Yeah, they are,
We
yeah.
just
Like-
had our first, at least our first, kind of documented bigger, news story of a houndsman getting his dogs wrecked by wolves,
Jeez.
running some bobcats.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
over
wow.
there in northeastern Oregon.
So it's going after bobcats, and wolves came in and
Yeah.
or ran across each other's paths at
and
least.
those dogs are loud. So
Yeah,
they probably
well,
heard
that's
them.
what they're doing, baying, right?
Yeah.
Rah, rah, rah. And if there's any wolves in proximity, they're just attracted to that. I mean, the houndsmen in Idaho for years have been having some big issues
Yeah.
with wolves coming in
Jeez.
and wrecking their dogs, and so it's made a lot of them kind of like get away from that a little bit because the vet bills on their dogs have been atrocious. And so this guy just had he had some few hounds and just kind of running some bobcats and had the first deal. And I mean that it didn't take them very long. They weren't very far away from the dog when it got attacked. By the time they got there, it didn't kill it, but I mean that dog was wrecked.
Did they have to put him down? Or
No, the
did
vet was
he
able.
live?
Yeah, it was like 6 hours of surgery.
Oh my gosh.
At
Yeah.
the veterinarian, and I think over 200 stitches.
Jeez.
That poor
Yeah.
dog.
Neck, rump, sides pretty ripped off right across the back. It was a smaller hound, and so I think those wolves could just kind of like clamp down right on top of its rib cage, right across its backbone, and just rip it up.
Well, and
I mean,
they have pretty powerful jaw strength
yeah.
too.
I'm surprised it lived. To be
Yeah,
honest,
that's-
but that thing was
That's
wrecked.
crazy.
Yeah, wolves are a whole nother beast out in the animals in the woods. But yeah, I mean, there's just kind of there's just a lot of implications with this bill. So I really hope it doesn't go through. But kind of circling back to a different subject, your hunting season. If everybody knows, Zach's a guide out in Oregon for
Yeah.
AOA Outfitters. So if you ever need a hunt, go to AOA Outfitters. Zach will hook you up. But how was your season? Like, kind of tell us about how were hunts this season? Did you do any sheep this year too?
I did. Yeah. So we were able to. So in Oregon, it's a complete lottery system for the bighorn and the Rocky Mountain goats. So it's not a point system. You don't you don't have to max out 25 points any given year. It could be your lucky day.
Yeah.
Of course, if you're a non-resident, then there's not nearly as many sheep tags available.
For sure.
And actually, there's not a non-resident sheep tag in every unit that there's a sheep
okay.
hunt for residents either. So they're very limited. So there's a lot of non-residents that are applying for 3 different sheep units.
Yeah.
So it's tougher for a non-resident, but it's not impossible. And so we had a gentleman that drew a sheep tag this year and got a hold of us. We've got some really good ground, just a really high concentration of rams on a lot of private property that's really hard to access. There's a little bit of public throughout there, but it's a lot landlocked type stuff. And these sheep just have come up off of the John Day River. It's in the John Day River unit, and they've worked up into a different canyon system that is privately owned. We just have some really good access, like over 7,000 acres of private stuff to get in there.
Oh, wow.
And so you're not disturbed by anybody else, any other sheep hunters. Not that there's going to be too many at one spot anyway. And you just get to observe. You get to be real picky.
Yeah.
You get to observe. So we went in with the hunter, and he said, he's like, it's a once in a lifetime deal. I'm going to take my time. I just really want to look over areas, and we went in with him and scouted the day before. We'd been in there a few different times before then. Went in the day before, probably saw 15 different rams. He's all excited for the next day. We go in the next day. We go to kind of where we saw the concentration of rams, and in like a 2 mile by 2 mile square, we we got into 11 different rams.
Oh, wow.
And probably about a dozen ewes at least. And I mean, it was not a big area, like just a couple small little drainages. And we were just able to observe them in groups and like just really pick them over, watch a bunch of ram fights. I mean,
That'd
it was
be
just
cool.
It was just a one day deal.
cool.
You know, it was just in that day there was just a lot of action, and it got to be about like 5 o'clock on that opening day, and had a pretty nice ram in one group that you could really tell that Mike was like
Getting excited about.
And we're telling him, I thought you were going to wait till day 5.
We can be done right now.
He's like, but is that a good one? And I was like, well, that is a good one. He's like, yeah, he's really, I mean, I could look at that thing the rest of my life. And we're
There's
like,
his answer.
But
huh?
hang on. I said, we have like 4 more miles of this canyon that we could look over in the next couple of days. And I don't know. And then that thing just kind of comes underneath us and pops up at shooting range, and he just couldn't take it anymore.
Torture
He
to
just
him.
could not
What
take
was
it
he hunting
anymore.
with? A rifle or bow?
He was hunting with a rifle.
With a rifle, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, he was hunting with a rifle, and I mean, and he had it really well set up. You know, he could shoot distance, but when something comes in and lays down at 200 yards from you,
Oh, yeah,
right
that'd
across
be hard.
downhill, a little across the draw,
That's tempting.
and you're just like, and you have to sit there and just watch him, and he's definitely a full curl, and like
Oh.
Oregon doesn't have a lot of criteria on like the curl and the
Right.
age and
Okay.
like all of that. It just has to be just a legal ram. A legal a ram.
Right.
And, I mean, you could take a juvenile if you wanted to, but this guy wasn't like super broomed off, so he just wanted something that was really pretty. Like it wasn't all, it wasn't all,
Broken and
broken
yeah.
and splintered and everything
Yeah.
else like sometimes they get when they're really broomed off, and massy and really good coat to him, kind of a darker brown type of a coat to him. So he just knew that it was gonna,
That
he
was
was
the
gonna
one.
be happy with it. And of course we weren't gonna tell him, you can't.
Right.
We're supposed to tell him what he wants to hear.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
yeah.
our job. That's our job. And so he took that ram. He was absolutely stoked. And I wish it would have lasted a little bit longer, just to
Yeah.
kind of continue to, because like the rut was happening, and there was just a lot
that'd
of
be cool.
cracking of horns, and
That's
it was
cool.
just really fun to observe. And we just got so much, we had a videographer and a bunch of guys on phone scopes and different things that we're just getting so much content from that. It was just really fun, and those things are rare, so not every year do I get to help a guy on a sheep hunt. And so we wanted it to last, probably longer than
for
Mike
sure.
wanted to. But he's like, I've got a bear tag. We've seen some bears down on my property in Southern Oregon. So, if I just take care of this one, it gives me and I already took 5 or 6 or 7 days off of work, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I run down there and try to get a bear while I'm on my days off, my PTO.
He had a lot going
Well,
for him.
you are right about that.
He's right. I might have had a different mentality on that with the bear versus the sheep, but
Yeah.
He's like, I could try to get 2 in my paid time
in
off.
your time off.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That is precious time off.
Yeah.
The question is, in your scouting trips, you've been up there before. Had you seen bigger rams than the one he took?
Yes.
Yeah.
But there was I
Does
took
he
a
know
trip.
that?
Yes, he does.
He will.
He does. But I don't think there's no regrets. I mean, a really nice ram, very respectable ram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got it. He's going to be happy with it. The experience was cool. His shot was good. There's just a lot of good things that went into that. There wasn't a bunch of trailing or almost losing it or anything like that. We just had really good glass on it and where he was going to go if he took the bullet and ran. He wasn't on a cliff, so he wasn't gonna bail off and break.
Yeah.
So there's those other things that, maybe we could have found a different one or a little bigger one, but would the scenario have been as nice, or would he have been busted up by the time he hit the bottom of the cliff?
That's true. That's a good point.
So, but yeah, when I went and did a scouting trip in July, there was one day I was only out there for maybe 6 hours and spotted 35 rams and 11 ewes.
Holy cow.
And so it's a very highly concentrated like ram area.
Yeah.
A trip before that, it was something like 24 rams and only 3 ewes. So I was wondering, like, what do these things even what do these even things fight about in the rut? There's like no ewes out here. Like these dudes are just all out there just hanging out in this canyon. It's like a bachelor pad of nothing but dudes all through this canyon.
2 hours and the rut's over.
Yeah. There's a really stiff competition in here. Some of these guys may never even see a ewe the whole rut. So
That's funny.
But yeah, that was an awesome hunt. Had some really cool archery encounters with some elk, just right place at the right time.
Yeah.
It was a pretty good rut this year in Oregon. Earlier than expected because we got like some weird rains like around that 10th of September time frame. Usually it's better 20th or deeper into the season, like that last week. But really the better part of our rut was like probably like the 10th to the 15th of the month. So just a little bit earlier this year. And that's when things were, piping off and really active. Just had some guys get some first bulls on, under their belt and stuff.
Cool.
And who had hunted for a lot of years with archery equipment and, had flung some arrow, but just never really harvested. And so, that was good. We took NFL player Lucas Musgrave. We took him out on he's a tight end for the Green Bay Packers. Yeah. We took him on a mule deer hunt.
Nice.
Got him his best mule deer that to date, and he's hunted since he was young, with family and stuff. And we got him a pretty nice deer, probably a 170 type of mule
nice
deer.
Buck.
Especially for that region, we don't see a lot of those in that particular. It's not really a trophy mule deer unit. So to get him that one, he was super stoked, and it actually happened because Green Bay had a bye week.
I was gonna say he doesn't have a whole lot of time.
On that opening weekend of deer season, and so he came out Thursday, scouted a little on Friday. We got his buck on Saturday. He flew back to Green Bay to practice for Monday so that he could play his next game on Sunday.
That's cool.
So it was just a really quick trip for him.
Best case scenario.
He was stoked. He's an Oregon boy, He went to school in Central Oregon in Bend and went to college at Oregon State.
Nice.
So he's from that region and from that area and stuff. So it's cool to get him back home to get him a nice mule deer and
That'd be hard for me to be a pro athlete, especially like football. I mean, obviously the money would be nice, but like your whole fall is basically gone.
Yeah.
Yep.
And typically, I mean, there's pros and cons for it.
Oh gosh, Kristen.
You left your lights on, so help me.
Or she won something. Or she's lost.
Your husband's over here drunk. Please come get him.
They don't like the NFL players don't like that there's an earlier bye week. Because they like a little bit later for resting up for like a playoff push. But he was really happy. He was super happy that it happened to be a pretty early bye week for him because it tied right into that opener for deer.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Works out well.
Yeah, that would be so hard for me.
Yeah, and then just some good solid bulls. Rifle season, got a youth hunter, 15 years old. Got him in on a bull. Made a really nice, bedded shot. The bull was kind of bedded, facing away from us. We got above, kind of in some rims and stuff. Made a really nice stalk up and around. We bedded him and then made our little play on him. And he just had such a tight little window to be able to put. But the vitals of the bull were in that window. Yeah. And so we do some custom rifles, and we have guide rifles that we let our clients use. Right. And he got him set up on a tripod. We couldn't go prone because we couldn't get over the cliff far enough to be able to kind of shoot down at him. So just sitting shot, 375 yards, and he just put it right through probably that 8-inch circle to hit it right where it needed to be hit. And that bull got up on its front legs, but never got up on its back legs and tipped right over.
Oh, that's awesome.
10 feet from his bed. And really cool bull. This old warrior had gotten his pedicle broken, so one of his horns was kind of coming out from above his eye a little bit, and kind of came out and swooped back.
Oh, that is
cool. And then
cool.
It was all beat up because of the rut. He must have been he's a pretty good fighter, but it was all kind of palmated and stuff on it, and from the damage.
I think you guys posted that on your Facebook, right?
Uh-huh.
I was gonna say, I think I saw that one.
Yeah. Well, Cruz, his 15-year-old kid, his dad's finally got he's been a business owner for a number of years, and finally, business kind of running itself now. And so he's like, yeah, well, my boys are like late teens, early 20s. I just want to get them out on a bunch of hunts and kind of get back into that.
That's cool.
That's why he took them out there.
That's awesome.
With us. Yeah. Got him his first elk, and yeah,
that was a nice.
And then ordered a rifle.
And then
really?
Nice.
Yeah, he's like, I want one just like that. Yeah, just like that. He had a Seekins. He had a good Seekins Havoc rifle. It was really well set up and stuff too.
Yeah.
But he didn't have like all of his. I wasn't comfortable with his dope with
that
the
makes
charts
sense.
and everything else. It was really broad. He's like, this is just kind of what the guy that put this rifle together, mounted the scope and everything. Like, this is the little range card that he gave me, and it was. Where we had to shoot through such a tight window. Yeah, if he would have been in more of an open clearing at that same distance and stuff, and me just kind of knowing the ballistics of like the 6.5 PRC, and I sighted in at 100. Okay, this is about what it's going to be. It's going to be real similar to like that 7 SAUM, somewhere in between like the 7 SAUM and the 6.5 Creedmoor. So I could probably get you pretty close.
Yeah.
But when you just have like kind of this one shot, if that we would have missed, there was just so much cover where that bull was, and the way he would have exited out of there, I just don't think that there would have been a follow-up opportunity.
Yeah.
And then he may have went out into the, way across 2 or 3 other ranches, and we just never would have had a chance at him.
Yeah.
So, that's where we were really comfortable with our setup. Yeah, I had Cruz switch over to that rifle, but it was worth it because
you
worked out well.
And you got a gun out of it.
I want one of those. Then his buddy, who hunts with him all the time, calls me up, a week later. Hey, I want the same rifle that Joe's getting. So, oh, okay.
You're like, oh yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Another random question, just because I started getting into long range a little bit more. And what do you use for like when you're with your own rifle systems? Do you use dope cards? Are you using like a rangefinder that gives you your ballistic solution? Like, what's your preferred method of knowing what to dial? Do you print those dope cards out beforehand, or?
No, usually I'll just have it in the app. What I usually do is I'll just take, because things can change so quickly in hunting, that even just the ranging portion of it, where you're like, and especially if you're trying to help the shooter and you're over there doing the dialing and stuff, you constantly just trying to range. And let's say this thing is kind of walking at a pretty good pace, angled away from you, and it could cover 20 more yards in the time that you take that new range, dial, and then you look back and he's 20 yards further. Well, 20 yards at 200 is not that big of a deal, but 20 yards, if you're shooting like 400 plus, that's inches. Another 20 yards further. And if you're like 500 plus or 600 yards, like you're missing the animal. When it goes 20 more yards, your drop on that bullet is up to 2. It could be 2 feet.
Yeah.
It could be well, maybe not 2 feet, but it could be another foot or so. So if you're lower portion of that, you might shoot under it at that range. So I like to screenshot the dope chart, so it's quicker reference, so that I don't always have to new yardage, 450, and then you calculate. Oh, it's this, and then you look up and he's like, oh crap, he went 50 more yards, new range, calculate. And so if you just have that, and you can just kind of say, okay, yeah, it looks like he's moving at this pace. He's probably going to be 30 more yards by the time we're ready to shoot. I'm just going to dial for that. And then if you take some more steps, I can be like, oh, okay, I need to go another MOA, whatever. So I just kind of have that there handy.
Yeah, that's nice.
So that it's not stuck to the rifle. And then because that changes too, because I hunt at different elevations. I could be hunting at 1,500 feet, and I could be hunting at 6,000 feet.
Yeah.
And so I can't necessarily just put everything in my binos all the time for ranging and seeing what it is that my binos come up with.
Yep.
And I can't always, hit the calculate in the app, because you got to go in and you got to change your barometric pressures. You got to go in there and change your elevations. You got to go in there and just change those little things. What your temperatures are. Are you shooting in 70-degree weather, or are you shooting in, 40-degree weather? Some powders are much more temp stable, so that doesn't matter as much, but others aren't as much, and so that will make a difference. And so if you have just something just permanently stuck on your rifle, then it could fluctuate. It could be off by this or that.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with CDS dials or some of these pre-made
Yeah.
yardages is I was like, my brother was sighted in a rifle at 4,000 feet, and then we went and hunted Alaskan black bear, and we were shooting like at 300 feet elevation.
Yeah.
And he was taking these 700-yard shots, and it was just way off because he would just dial. He just range 700. Oh, I'm going to turn my turret to 700.
Yeah.
Well, at higher elevations, you shoot high. Lower elevations, I'm sure that thing was just dumping.
Yeah.
With the pressures that are at sea level and how low he was. I'm sure he's shooting way under. There's just so much foliage that we couldn't really see impact to be able to make those adjustments. Well, he just went in after he'd missed that bear multiple times. He just went into his app, changed those little things, and then he just started running MOAs on his turret and just not even looking at the yardage. And then the next shot opportunity he had was like 760 yards and drilled the bear.
Yeah, that's
just going off of that. But he was like multiple clicks. He was multiple clicks higher than what it, if it was saying 760, I think he was dialed for like 850 on his turret.
Yeah, that's a huge difference.
Well, see, 4,500 feet is what we're at. So I sighted mine in 4,500 feet, went to Colorado at 10.
Yeah.
And I'm like flipping through the dough, and I'm like, oh, this card's not worth anything to me. And my brother-in-law actually shot his deer at 750 with that gun, but I had him dial for 870.
Okay.
In order to pull that off.
Yep.
And I'm like, if I had not looked, we would have missed this.
And you were sighted in at a pretty high elevation as it was, but you just went so much higher.
Yeah, we went way higher.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things into it that you got to be aware of. Maybe thinking of, but it's fun to shoot that far.
Yeah,
absolutely. When the gun can do it.
Yeah, it is fun.
And it's people think it's like tactical or it's a fad or whatever to be into the long range stuff, and it's not that anybody's ever backing up. It's just sometimes an animal is going to give you an opportunity, and it's going to be at that yardage. And do you really want to just have a 300-yard rifle, even though the ballistics of your rifle are capable of a ethical harvest with the energy and the velocities that they produce out to 750 yards, but they're going to put an optic and they're going to, have a sort of a gun set up in a caliber that's capable of doing much further, but they're going to limit that particular cartridge to like 300 yards because of something. Whether it's the build that they have, if they just get kind of like off the shelf type of a cheapo ready to hunt package with the a lower end scope or something like that. It's like, man, base your hunting scenarios and your hunting preparation off of what your cartridge is capable of. Yeah. And are you hunting with a 7 mag? Are you hunting with a 300, 30 calibers of some sort? Are you hunting with a 6.5 of some sort? And then base it all off of that. And if you do reload, you can push your loads a little bit more in order to expand the ethical range of a smaller caliber because you've given it a little more velocity, you get a little bit more foot pounds, and that might give you 50 more yards of ethical harvest distance.
Yeah. I think one thing to your point, I think a lot of people sometimes they buy that 300-yard setup and that's all they go for. But it's like if you practiced out to like 800 to 1,000, if you practice out that far and you understand your rifle system, imagine how much easier the shot at 300 is going to be.
It feels
when you're
real
doing
easy.
That, you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, I do it with archery, but now that I do it with the rifles should be the same way.
Yeah,
you should practice out further
with that
and then
concept,
and then bring it into what you feel comfortable with. But it's going to be so much easier for you to kill that animal at 300 if you're shooting out to 800 yards. But anyways, one last question too is you talked a lot about shooting. You guys shot a bedded elk and some others. I always see on these YouTube channels guys that are like, I gotta wait for him to stand up. I can't shoot the bedded animal. So I just kind of what's your perspective on bedded? Do you prefer, are you okay? Obviously, that youth hunter shot his, but kind of want to get your perspective on bedded versus non. Do you prefer to wait, which maybe I'll do, but I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that.
I think with archery standing is crucial.
Yeah.
With a rifle, definitely everything is predicted by the scenario.
Yeah.
How is he bedded? What is he? I'm not going to take a bedded down facing with the rear facing me type of a shot. Like I'm not going to Texas heart shoot them when they're bedded like that. Well, I don't even typically do that.
What if they're standing?
When they're standing.
Let's just clear that up.
So those scenarios are
That's a fatal shot.
Well, there have been a lot of animals taken with that shot. with minimal ham damage too.
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
true.
if they're a good enough shot anyway. But yeah, we don't encourage those kind of shots. And it's similar to the standing scenario. Like, how are you going to shoot at that? If that animal was standing, quartered away, slightly quartered to, perfectly broadside, you're going to take that shot. So how is it bedded?
Yeah.
Is it bedded perfectly broadside to you, little quartered this way? Then I don't see really what the difference is.
Yeah.
Their organs are slightly located differently when they're bedded like that. But those lungs are bigger than this table. So it doesn't matter if they're slightly rolled up or rolled down. If you put it in that same rib cage, if you shoot something in the rib cage, how are you going to miss the lungs, whether he's standing or bedded? They're going to be in that spot. It's not like the lungs shift down into the gut area because he's laying down.
Yeah.
And
That's a good point.
Yeah, and so it's just kind of that. If he's bedded with his back, facing away, but not like butt to us, but the backside of his back, and he's looking away.
Yeah.
He's broadside. Then putting one down through like the spine, top of the shoulder blades. I mean, that's lethal.
Yeah.
That's lethal because you're driving that through potential backbone, spine, through then your lungs, down through your heart, out your brisket. There's like a lot more chance to hit some really good vitals. And even if he's standing, you're going through lungs. You don't really have it's very hard to be able to have a chance at clipping heart, lungs, backbone.
Yeah.
If they're standing broadside to you, you're going to get one of them.
Yeah.
But if you kind of have like that elevated straight down facing away right between those shoulder blades, and it just kind of piles through, that's exactly how Cruz shot his bullet 375. It was facing just like that, just away like that. And we just put it on the back of the main, right on those shoulder blades. And like I said, like he took that one single bullet and the initial impact, it popped him up onto his front legs, but his back legs never got up.
Yeah.
One because I think he was already done, but he also clipped spine.
Yeah. Okay.
So you already clipped spine, so he didn't even get up. He was paralyzed. And so
point.
then the stuff that went through the lungs, I don't know if he clipped heart, but the stuff that went through the lungs, I mean, he was just expired. He was expired within seconds.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's cool.
So, yeah, the whole bedded thing, I hear it all the time. Don't shoot a bedded animal, but it depends on how they're laying there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
I
know what
agree.
you're doing, right?
Yeah. Don't shoot them in the butt, when they're facing away from you like that. But if pretty well broadside, you got to trust your equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Awesome. Well, we want everybody to go again. If you are an Oregonian, go and look at IP28.
Yep.
Do not sign it.
No, don't sign
And
it.
then if it goes
help
through, vote
educate
against
others.
it. Yeah, but education is key, and hopefully you can share this podcast about that initiative because we will be posting this pretty quickly here. But we just want to thank Zach for coming on again. Sorry for
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming down.
Yeah.
Thanks, Zach.
Yeah.
You guys.